This is Frankie Lynch, astrological consultant. Please visit me at frankielynch.com. I do wonderful readings. Like and subscribe here on YouTube. Please hit the bell so you can see when I post new fun videos. And then please, please, please follow me on social media. My information is below. And please consider giving to my Patreon if you love my content, as I know you probably do. Now, I wanted to come and say a few words about Venus entering Aries. This is going to happen in the early morning hours of February 20th, at least for those of us in the United States. And it depends where else you are in the world, what time it's going to happen, and probably what day. A lot of you are past the international dateline, and as far as I'm concerned, you exist in the future, in the land of tomorrow. Hello, all my friends in Oz in Old Zealand. Mwah. So anyway, Venus going into Aries. So Venus has been exalted in Pisces, and now she's heading into Aries, where she's in detriment or adversity. Because Venus rules Libra, and so the opposite sign of rulership is called detriment or adversity. That sort of takes the planet's usual significations, what they usually do, how they are most comfortably expressing. And it takes those and it turns them on their head. So the planet scarcely knows what to do with itself in that particular sign. For example here, Venus is Our Lady of Beauty, of love, of relationships. She governs how we relate to people in general, not just romantically. She also rules musicians, performers, artists, singers, painting, precious jewelry. She's the feminine principle. In terms of temperament, Venus is cold and wet, while Mars and Aries are hot and dry. What do those mean in terms of temperament? Well, first of all, cold means passive, while hot is active. That seems pretty intuitive. And then wet is more, it clings to things, right? So it's known as more relationship-oriented. Some might call it more dependent, but I don't like that term necessarily. I would call it relational. Whereas dry is more independent, less people-oriented. Sometimes perhaps a bit rougher. You could say that dry prefers its own company. So as you know, Venus rules Libra and Taurus. Libra, like the rest of the air signs, is hot and wet, and Taurus, like the rest of the earth signs, is cold and dry. While Venus is in Taurus, we see her desire for material comfort and security manifest, while in Libra, her sense of charm, of social grace, and of harmony shine through. Libra is the active home of Venus, while Taurus is the passive. Taurus is the passive side of Venus, while Libra is the active. Aries is a much more independent sign, though. It's more aggressive, boastful, authoritarian, intimidating. These are some choice words that Valens, Vedius Valens, the famous ancient astrologer from about the 2nd century CE, these are the choice words that he had for Aries. So Aries, like its ruling planet Mars, is hot and dry. Venus goes into that sign and doesn't know what to do with herself. Of course, Venus rules love. And everyone is so fond of citing that passage from St. Paul's letter to the Corinthians, where he describes love. So why don't we take a look at that, shall we? Love is patient and kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Once again, that's 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 4 through 7. But Aries is boastful. It is arrogant. It does insist on its own way. It's very competitive, and it rejoices when it wins. Once again, these are stereotypes from Vedius Valens, but you see how the energy differs. Being hot and dry, Aries demands action. So I wrote down some keywords for Venus in Aries. Venus, on the one hand, is how we relate. She has to do with love and beauty and valuable things. She's feminine, she's precious, whereas Aries is not. So what are some key words here when we mix these energies together? One of the words I wrote down was disharmony. The opposite sign Libra is all about harmony. Aries, on the other hand, is not. Since Venus is how we relate to people, is more feminine, and Mars is more aggressive and masculine, I did write down complaining, because we do see quite a bit of that. And one thing I do see from Venus in Aries is the Karen phenomenon. So I wrote that word down. Venus, on the one hand, is a bit more passive and feminine, while Aries, on the other hand, is a bit more aggressive and masculine. So when we mix these two qualities together, we get some passive aggression. Venus in Aries is more impulsive. I wrote down the fool's rush in phenomenon. Oftentimes, she pursues what she wants without regard for others. Because of the passive aggression thing, I also wrote down bullying, because that's sort of using your relational ability to intimidate someone. Now, I also wrote down the word revenge, because again, Venus relating with Mars aggression. When there's a transgression, she will seek out and destroy the perpetrator. So it's a little bit like Kill Bill, which is sort of the symbol that I use for Venus and Aries if you watch my stuff on Facebook. What was that story about? It was about a woman who was wronged, violently so. In fact, she was left for dead. And why? Out of jealousy. The concept of revenge and jealousy sounds very Scorpio. But both Scorpio and Aries, the martial signs, have revenge. Except in Aries, it just happens to be more abrupt, impulsive, and overt. While in Scorpio, it's a bit more brooding, a bit more long-term, under the surface. Scorpios are like elephants. They never forget. So think of the Venus and Aries qualities from that story, Kill Bill. In the story of Kill Bill, Uma Thurman's character goes on a vendetta to kill her ex-husband, who was the one who left her for dead, and actually ordered her murder. In true Venus and Aries fashion, she cuts through everyone in her way. And spoiler alert, she finally reaches Bill and kills him. Hence the name Kill Bill. She rescues her daughter, and they go on their own to live their lives together. Meanwhile, you can see Uma Thurman's character crying in the bathroom, presumably lamenting the death of Bill. Venus in Aries also harbors resentment and regret because of its impulsive nature. And she does things out of jealousy. And she does things out of a sense of being wronged, of being hurt. And she will seek to exact that same hurt and vengeance on whoever violates her sense of security. So take a look at where Aries is in your chart. What house is it? What house will Venus be entering for you? You may see that house activated once she goes into Aries. And you may see some difficult manifestations around the houses that she rules. So look at the house that Libra is in. And look at the house that Taurus is in. Let's say you're in Aries rising. Of course, Taurus would then be the second house in whole sign houses. And Libra would be the seventh. So check and see what houses Taurus and Libra are for you, because they could indicate some of the difficulties that Venus will be having in Aries. Please take note, though, of the house she's entering and if those significations are activated for you. Once again, this is Frankie Lynch, astrological consultant, frankielynch.com. Please like and subscribe and click the bell. Please follow me on social media, and all your sins will be forgiven. And please, please, please consider donating to my Patreon, which will also be below, especially if you like my content, because I love making it, but I need support and I need help to keep on producing this wonderful content. So wherever you are, I love you, you're beautiful, and have a wonderful whatever you're having.